The Clouds to Coast Triathlon come about, it was sort of a brainstorm between myself and David Lansky. I've done a few triathlons myself in a past life, many years ago. We were having a meeting one afternoon at how we could promote the Turquoise Coast and the cycle path that's just being built. And David says, well, we should run a triathlon here. And I said, well, why don't we jump the athletes into an island and then give them the challenge of swimming back to the mainland and then continue on the triathlon from there. So maybe we started a new sport, an extreme triathlon event.
We actually got a message on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was reading it and I was like, Kate, did you get this message from Dave?
Yeah.
You said we're going to jump out of a plane. And I was like...
Are you serious? Is this a joke?
I was like, what? Dave's been smoking. Like, this...
I'd always said I would never skydive or bungee. But then I thought, oh, this is definitely an opportunity not to be missed, you know. And plus, we'd never been to Jurien, we'd never been here. I loved the idea of racing in pairs. It sounded like so much fun.
And I got this call from David Budge and he said, I've got this interesting triathlon. First you'll skydive onto an island and then you swim from the island to the main shore and then there's a bike and a run. And I just, how can you say no to that?
The fact that you can be a trailblazer and the first sort of group to do something of this ilk was a no-brainer, and came back to the person and said, absolutely, count me in.
We have to do a triathlon straight after this. This is just crazy stuff.
Thought, yeah, this isn't going to happen. Sure, I'll say yes, but yeah, it couldn't be true. But I have to say it wasn't on the bucket list.
The message came through at night and you'd had a couple of red wines. So you were like, yeah, let's do it. Next morning, she was like, I'm going to jump out of a plane.
I have been around a little bit and I still think Jurien is one of the better places on earth. Beautiful beaches, friendly people and not too far from Perth. It's a laid-back sort of town. We're just far enough away from Perth to get away from the rat race, but we've got a beautiful protected bay, and we have had triathlons in town before, but never jumping out of an aeroplane and also swimming across to Bollinger.
I've never been to Jurien Bay. Now I'm really not sure why I hadn't. It's such a beautiful location. Everything's really close by. The beaches are really nice and clean.
It's got a beautiful foreshore. The pier is lovely, and you know, lots of facilities for children, and that bike course and running course up along the coast is just world class.
So as we were driving here, it was an entire new experience, and we were amazed by the sand dunes that we hadn't seen before but heard so much about. And then when you come out and then you hit the coastline and the colour of the water and understanding why it's called Turquoise Bay, we were just saying, wow, we can't believe we haven't actually been here.
So the Turquoise Coast pathway at the moment begins at the Jurien Bay Marina, and at the moment it's fully constructed to Hill River, and that's a distance of a bit over 12 kilometres. It's a 3-metre wide path, so it's got the capacity for riders to be able to travel in reasonable numbers and pass each other. It's got some sensational views, and it's really been designed to cater for all range of users, competitive, recreational, or people who just want to walk along the coast and enjoy the scenery.
I've been skydiving for about 35 years. I started when I was 19 years of age. I've done various things throughout my life, but this is something I've done the most of, and I find it most rewarding. Myself and my wife started Skydive Jurien Bay. Christine and I were up to the northwest Australia, and we flew down to have a look at Jurien Bay. And as we were flying in a small plane, we both just turned around and looked at each other and went and nodded our head and said, yeah, this is it. This is where we could set up the world's most beautiful beach skydive. The scenery you see when you're in free fall and the islands and the beautiful turquoise coast, it's quite amazing. and something you never forget. People come from all over Australia to skydive with us, and they actually come internationally as well. I'm the chief instructor and the owner. I'm responsible for safety and training. I'm also the senior pilot. The best part about my business is probably all of it. I do enjoy flying my aircraft. When that gets mundane, I go for a jump. You can't think about work when you're in free fall, or you can't think about anything except having fun and having a good time. So I quite enjoy it.
So the pre-race briefing was definitely unlike any briefing we've had before. You were walking in, signing waivers and getting extra insurance, paying the extra $30 for the full insurance, and definitely not something that we're used to.
And logistically, there's all these things that needed to come together, you know, flying over the water, obviously the pilot, harnesses and parachutes and emergency parachutes, who's going with who, camera crews.
Speedos or wetsuits?
I think everyone was a bit nervous, but we're all in it together, so what's the worst can happen?
There's a possibility that they could be blown into the water and not land on the island. We're going to have 2 sea rescue vessels. Hopefully we're not needed, but we'll be just escorting the swimmers. The majority of all regional Western Australia is that it's comprised of volunteers, and I enjoy helping people, and yeah, there's a lot of satisfaction there. And we're, I would say, the best regional sea rescue unit in WA.
Looks good.
Yeah, I guess I don't need this anymore.
I'm feeling pretty nervous, to be honest.
We had got to the Skydive and we were ready to get on the plane and get organised when we found out that we were going to be delayed due to the weather and having to wait. And we were told, oh, it'd be maybe 1 to 2 hours. So we were deciding what to do, and we were about to leave and get food when someone walked in and goes, no, we're going now. That's it. It's just like that. It had changed and all of a sudden it was on. So
I think their exact words were, there's a hole in the clouds and we're going to punch through it. It's like, oh no. I think that's when the anxiety level started raising.
There was a lot of us all kind of looking at each other, you know, what the heck are we getting ourselves in for? And the tandem masters were all very relaxed and kind of making little gags along the way.
I'm just going to swim like a lead sinker.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
A bit nervous now, I've got all this gear on, so it's becoming real very quickly.
Are you ready to do this?
Bo and I were measuring our heart rate, so we're just sitting there playing around. We're like, what's your heart rate? So usually resting heart rate's 37. And what's your resting heart rate?
The real one or the one I'm telling you?
I got 64.
81. Yeah, it's going up about 5 beats every 15 minutes.
For me, it got real when we got to the airspace, you know, waiting for the plane and then, yeah, getting the plane. It was, yeah, there was no turning back then.
Managed to free fall 14,850 feet. So yeah, pretty cool onto an island, and then yeah, then it all sort of started.
Tell you what, I felt like I was falling at a rapid rate. And I was just, at that point, you couldn't get the smile off my face. I was just so stoked.
Had the Garmin on, and when we jumped out, I managed to, you know, amongst the the pressure of the wind against my arm, I managed to have a quick look at it and saw that my max was 136 beats, which without actually doing any active activity is quite high.
I just sort of had to shut off because that was the only way I was going to get through it without screaming my head off. And then the free fall was just awesome.
And when the chute went off and things started to slow down then, and you could just see the beautiful Jurien Bay and the island, and yeah, going through the clouds was just insane, really.
Yeah, so he was sitting at the front and I was at the very back, and he turned around just before he was about to jump out and he just mouthed like, "Love you." And I'm like, "I'm never seeing you again." And that was it.
That's all I was thinking. I was like, please don't die. Until he pulled the parachute, and then I started thinking, okay, there's the island. We're going to swim from point A to point B.
Just, wow, I'm above the clouds. That only ever happens when I'm in an aeroplane. Yeah.
Not falling out of one.
Not falling out of one.
There were lots of, hugs and high fives. We've made it. And then there was that, okay, now the race is on.
We landed sort of bum first in the sand. I was like, well, this is not time effective. Quickly unharnessed and, okay, I've got to put my wetsuit on, cap, goggles, go.
And a level of trepidation actually set in that now the hardest leg for me was to calm the swim.
Adrenaline was definitely running high, and it was really hard to kind of get the wetsuit on, and I think I even, did a few little tears to it.
Then I was like, right, swim, bike, run, this is what I do all the time, this is what I'm used to. It becomes quite automatic.
The swim was amazing. You could see the bottom the whole time, and it was just beautiful. We had the swell coming behind our back, so it was pushing us along quite nicely.
Definitely didn't feel that way. It felt as I was swimming into it.
I was able to pick off a few of the other guys relatively quickly, and then I just got into my own rhythm.
It was weird because I normally go into a race and my heart rate's fairly low because you're standing around for a while. But coming off the plane, coming off skydiving, I felt like I was straight into a really high heart rate. I ended up catching pretty much everyone, ended up a little bit off, so I had to run up the beach a little bit. But it worked out pretty well and got onto the bike quite cleanly.
Because I saw him running along the beach and I did a quick glance at my watch, and the time I got to the beach was about a minute, and I think he was about a minute ahead of me into the water. So I was like, okay, that's good. Maybe we'll ride about the same. See you out there.
Coming out of the water, I knew I was either first or last. There wasn't too many people around me. When I got to the bike rack, I realised that I was most certainly last. I managed to see Kate Bevilacqua in the distance, and so I put my head down and sort of charged up to try and bridge the gap.
At 1 minute I would be riding and thinking, oh, my legs hurt, and then the next minute you could just look to the side and see the turquoise bay.
Perhaps I shouldn't say this to Johnny, but I did actually look out to the coast. It was pretty nice and scenic. We've definitely raced in worse places, so it was a nice distraction along the way when I could just see everyone up in the distance trying to catch them. I thought, oh, I'll enjoy the sea views as I go along.
Trying to chase Kerry, but she's too strong today. I'm going to enjoy the scenery.
Yeah, I was really, really surprised. Obviously, when you think of like an amateur sort of thing, you think, oh, it's going to be bringing up the back maybe, but she was really powering on the bike, and it was quite impressive to watch.
I love courses like that are, in and out, and you're on the brakes and you're just switched on the whole time. It just so helps you stay focused on the moment. When you're doing long rides that are just flat and, no scenery or anything technical, it can get quite hard to stay focused. But in a course like that, it's just, the whole time your eyes are wide open and your ears are alert, all your senses are working, and it's just great fun. It really was a great course, and the scenery the whole way along as well. It was hard not to get distracted looking over it and being like, oh, we just got over onto that island and swam over from there.
Love you! It was actually impressive to see the Jurien Bay community come out. I wasn't sure if we were going to get a crowd or not, so it was a pleasant surprise that a lot of people came out to support and cheer, and tried to give back as much as possible with smiles and high fives to the kids as you're coming out onto the run. So that was really cool.
A lot of spectators greeted me at T2, which was really good. I loved having the people clapping and cheering. It was really, really morale boosting. But yeah, got onto the run and I felt pretty good. Had the lead bike with me, so I was pretty stoked with that. And I had the tailwind to begin with, so I could really get the leg speed up and sort of work it a bit harder. With Guy sort of in the back of my mind, I sort of wanted to keep that gap going as long as I could.
Got off at T2, you know, glad to be jumping off the bike, and really lovely atmosphere that the community's clearly got behind the event, which is fantastic. Pulled in, put the joggers on, and knowing it's a relatively short run, went out and, you know, tried to blast away and bridge another gap, and very quickly I think a bit of a come down from the adrenaline rush earlier in the day was just, I looked down at my watch and we'd gone 47 seconds, so at that point I was like, okay, this is not really going to plan.
When we went past each other the first time, Kate said a few choice words, pretty much saying, I don't feel so good today, but not said like that. And then the second time I was just like, come on babe, you gotta keep running. Keep moving the legs, cadence. Yeah. And she goes like, ugh. I was like, okay, we're good.
The run for me felt tough today, and I tried to keep going, you know, obviously wanted to do it for the team and you know, to support Johnny and you know, represent the team well, but it was tough. Yeah, it definitely wasn't my best run.
Running down the pier to the end of the jetty was just amazing. It was, yeah, definitely a pinch yourself moment. You could see the island where you'd come from, and yeah, I just ran right to the end, threw my glasses off and just kept running right to the end of the jetty and jumped off. So it was an amazing way to finish a race. I've just never experienced anything like it, and it was, yeah, it's once in a lifetime, but hopefully not once in a lifetime.
Yeah, I sort of had a bit of banter with Guy. He loves to have a chat on the bike and stuff, so I don't think he was too happy that I came across the line ahead of him, but we always have a laugh about it.
The young pup, he just runs too quick, so next time, Johnny, next time.
Yeah, and running down the pier was quite cool. You know, I brought back a few nostalgic memories from when I was a kid, jumping off the jetty and doing a few tricks here and there. And Guy and I, again, healthy competitive rivalry. We're trying to outdo each other. I think he did a front flip and I did a back flip. So it was
he was
nice.
Very disappointed.
He was, yeah. So I couldn't get him in the overall speed of the race, but I think I might have got a better score from the judges.
I could definitely see Jurien Bay being a place where you could hold plenty of events. There's plenty of room. Clearly the community loves having events here. I'd be stoked to come back here and do an event, whether it's running, swimming. An open water series race out there would be perfect.
It fuels you, and it's like feeding the animal, and you're like, oh, I want to swim, bike and run more so I can enjoy these events and I can go out and I can do different things and explore places I haven't seen before.
This event rates, you know, absolutely at the top of my triathlon experiences, and sometimes that sounds like a throwaway line after you've done an event because it's so fresh in the mind, but you know, over the last couple of years been lucky enough to experience some of the greatest races around the world, and this is definitely at the height of it. Number one, the people that have been involved. Two, you know, it's local in WA, and then three, I think the uniqueness and something that we can look back on potentially in 10 or 20 years and say we were the first people to do that event is a really cool part of what we got offered today.
Oh, I can't compare it to anything else I've done. It's definitely the craziest by far. The way it was all put together and constructed, and the event, and landing on an island and swimming to the mainland, I mean, who comes up with this? So to be part of it is pretty special.
Terry's still pretty pumped about coming out of the air, but he was screaming when she hit the beach. That was the best experience ever.